Alright, now we're going to do a second border. So to do so, we're going to go to New, Standard, IDW. This is the one I already created with one image. So Standard IDW, I'm going to start off by deleting all the old stuff. If you look, currently we have the default border in here and our anti. So we don't have any of the other stuff I did in the previous video. So I'm going to go to Manage. Very important we go to Manage. We're going to go to Border. And we're going to create a 1/4 inch border. So I'm going to start by making a rectangle. So I made a rectangle. And I'm going to dimension this rectangle to 1/4 of an inch from each side. So this is 1/4 of an inch on each side. Now, that looks extraordinarily big, but it's okay. Because the border is in ratio to the piece of paper we have. So right now if I turn this border on, it'd be 1/4 of an inch away from that edge. And that's cool. If I change my sheet size, which I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Edit Sheet. So I'm going to go to the sheet, I'm going to Edit Sheet. It's going to change it to an A size sheet. It's going to shrink, it's still going to be a 1/4 inch border. So, sticking with the 1/4 inch border, I'm actually going to turn it off for now. So, I'm going to go, I'm just going to turn that off. The next thing I'm going to do, after you make your 1/4 inch border, is you're going to go back to Manage, and we're going to make our title block. And I'm just going to make my title block by drawing a rectangle, like so. I'm going to dimension it to be 10.5 inches. I'm going to dimension this to be 1 inch. And that should be pretty good for making a title block. Now, this one I'm going to put an image on each end for some symmetry. So I'm just going to draw a 1 inch rectangle on each side. There's other ways to do this, but this is the way I like to do it. So I'm going to dimension that to be 1 inch. I'm going to dimension this to be likewise. And that should cover that. So I'm just going to move that up. So I've got rectangles on both sides. I'm going to add my images. To add the images, I'm first going to zoom in where I want to add the image. Oops. Now, remember, you do not have to use my images. I'm going to draw the box where I want the image to go. Try to get as close to the lines as I can. I'm going to just go. I want this image right here. It's a pretty good job. Almost exactly where I'm going to hit escape. I'm just going to zoom in a little. See how there's these grips? I'm just going to nudge that up a little bit. And that's pretty good for me. It's good enough. When you zoom out, you don't see too bad. I'm going to zoom in on this side. And I'm going to do the same thing with the image tool. I'm going to go to Image. Get it close to the edge. I'm going to be looking for my PLTW right there. So I got my project lead away, and that is pretty much as close as I'm going to get. So I got my two images, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to draw a line down the middle. It's very important you start by drawing the line down the middle, because now I can draw a line to this side that has a middle point, so I can divide this up nice. I do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to divide these boxes up the same way as I divided up the other one. I'm just going to have some differences. So, if you watched the other video, you would have noticed that I did all my stuff basically on the top edge. I'm not going to do that for this one. This one I'm going to do a little bit different. So this one I'm going to keep the base text as it is. And I'm going to try to kind of do a different style just to give you guys more options. And this style, I'm going to just nudge this down a little bit. So name, and then you're going to have to do a prompted entry. Or, you know, since it's your name, you could just do a regular text. But now I'm going to go after name. I'm going to throw this in the center. And I'm going to throw it in the center so I don't forget. I'm going to go back to my city blueprint because that's my favorite. I'm going to do 0.24, and I'm just going to write my name. We're going to put me in as John Smith again. I'm gonna throw that in there. It looks good. I like where it is. Maybe scoot it back just a hair. Yeah, I'm gonna move away in case you get like a letter like a D or something. Okay, so that's your name. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna do the title in a similar fashion. So now that we know it's not gonna be a very large box, I can come in. I can write in title and click OK. And I'm going to scoot that. Oops. Did the worst thing I could have done. I attached the line to the dot to the line, which is bad. I'm going to go to the text box. I'm going to create my city blueprint again. The only difference with this one is now it is going to be a prompted entry, because that always changes, of course. So prompted entry, I'm going to change the text size, and I'm going to change the text type to city blueprint, and we're just going to call it title. And I hit center. Okay, so I got those two. I'm just going to grab my horizontal constraint, and I'm going to make sure these two are dead on. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to make sure these two are dead on. And they were pretty close. It didn't look like it moved at all. Alright, so now I've got to add some of my other entries. So I kind of like the way I do the date on this one a little bit better than how I do it on the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in date without touching anything. Whoops. So if you haven't noticed, this style, see, I kept those lined up, does end up costing you a little more time just to set up initially, but after you get it set up, it's not bad. So we're going to go to Properties Drawing. I'm going to go to Creation Date, and you got to drop that in there because it's a parameter. So I drop the creation date in there, and I'm going to go to good old city blueprint, and the size. Okay, creation date. If it's going out of there, don't worry about it too much. It's not going to affect you. I just need it centered and to be the right kind of font. That does help. Now we might have to go back and check to see where it lands, and I'll do that later. Just not really a concern right now. So make sure it's on city blueprint. Okay. So it knows it's tight. When we go back to look later, I think we're going to be okay. But for now, we're going to leave it like that. I could also, if I wanted, I could make the box longer. And I believe now, if I drop creation date down, I probably would not have an issue if I got rid of it and I added it in. Yeah, maybe I would. So we'll pretend that didn't happen. I will actually move this to the side so it'll scrunch it in for me. And I'll just add the rest of them. So after creation date, we had period. If you're going this route, so if we're going this route, you're going to want to make sure you do everything. I'm just going to have to zoom in. Okay, I caught the other point, saw that line. You're going to have to make sure you're probably writing out your period number when you come in here to do the city blueprint. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to switch to city blueprint. Now you could do this as a prompted entry, especially if you're going to use this for multiple classes, but I am not. And I'm just going to write out the period because I think it'll look nicer. Once again, always make sure you center. The next two are going to be sheet and scale, not in that order. Okay, so I'm going to add in my scale, drop it in there. And again, I got the two signifying it lines up with each, so that's good for me. I'm going to drag my box in here, scale, hit center first this time, and then I want it to be a prompted entry. And I'm going to pick my text for that prompted entry. This is a blueprint, size, and I'm just going to call it scale. So that looks good to me. And the final one. So we made it after our hard work. This one is sheet. I'm going to move it over just a little. Try to keep it in line, so it's in line, it's line. And just throw a prompted entry on the other side of that. So we're going to just go in, click center, going to go to prompted entry, highlight, city blueprint, size it up, and tell it to be sheet number. Alright, so that's your title block. We're going to actually check to make sure this ends up okay. If it doesn't, we might have to do some work, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to say, for me, this is title block B, because I'm using 2 different title blocks, so that's cool. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back into where it says borders. I'm going to add my border. I'm going to go where it says title blocks. I'm going to drop my title block. It's going to ask me for all of this. I'm just going to click OK. And yeah, this looks pretty good. This fits in here. It shortened it to make sure it worked because it was on a limited amount of space. Scale sheet, all that would have been prompted entries. So I like this. I think this looks sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to probably end up using this one. And I'm going to save copy as a template. I already got title block A, which has one picture. This one will be title block B. And hit save. And so if I come out here to a new file, I can do title block A with 1 picture or title block B with 2 pictures. So that is how you create a title block in Autodesk Inventor.